Welcome in, brand new Jock Market Power Hour for this week's 3M Open. I'm Rick Game of that right there, Joe Idoni. Joe, we roll on. We're going to Minnesota. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. We've got another open this week. A little bit different of a field, a little bit different of location, but we've got another Jock Market contest. Ready
We
for it.
do. Yes, we're playing stock market DFS. We're buying, selling, trading, shorting shares of golfers. But if you play on Jock Market, there are other sports available. But we're focusing on golf tonight for the 3M Open. You are going to right now bid on these golfers. If you are one of the high bidders by the time this IPO ends, right before 9:00 Eastern time, those shares are allocated to you. And then based on the guaranteed payouts, that'll determine whether you've made money or not. So, Joe, we can look at this. We can look at last week's here. So, if you were a Rory McIlroy backer in the outright market last week, you came away very disappointed. If you were a Rory McIlroy backer in the Jock market, I think you came away feeling pretty good. He was $10.25 at IPO, paid out $18 a share. You made $7.75 a share.
Yeah, not too bad, right? You can always have more shares than one. You can go up as many as you want. So, yeah, the one place where I think that he didn't burn you and still outperformed what his expectation was at the IPO hour, which was the highest price of any guy in the field, still returned you a 75% profit. So good on you if you had some Rory shares.
Let's see. Brian Harmon, $3.41, big jump to $13 a share. That was a $9.59 per share profit. So all this data for the whole year is available on my website. It's RickRunGood. It's under free tools. You can access it all and take advantage of it. But this IPO phase, Joe, it's what we're in right now. This is probably the best time to be clicking favorites, right? Get your golfers all lined up because things are going to get spicy the closer we get to 9:00 tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I would recommend favoriting a couple guys if you want to put in one share or two shares now just to get them onto your orders tab. That is always something that I find helpful and create a target price, whether it's in your head, whether you jot it down on a piece of paper, whether you got a spreadsheet with an algorithm, whatever you do. I think that it's always helpful to create a target price for a player because it helps you to sort of make decisions for you in crunch time in those final 5 minutes where it can get to be a flurry of activity. And you can sometimes end up overpaying for a guy just because you want him. But if you have that target price in mind, it's helpful to make sure once he clears that limit, you move on to somebody else.
And then finally, if you haven't deposited yet, the code that you're looking for, it's power. There's a link in the description. It'll get you up to $100 deposit bonus. Helps you, helps us, helps them. So go ahead and do that. Joe, before we do fully move on to the 3M Open, there is always a lingering thought about a major championship, especially one that ended so amazingly as last week did. We were just kind of talking about it before we went hot. Rory didn't necessarily punt it away. He didn't go out and take it. That was Cam Smith who went out and took it.
Yeah, I think it was sort of a little bit of both, right? I don't think it was like an either or situation. I think there were both of those in play. I mentioned to you that like I rewatched some of it because we both had Cam Smith tickets, so it was an exciting finish for us at least. But I went and rewatched just make where they made the turn. And to think at that point that Rory lost to not one, but two players in the final over the final 8-9 holes is pretty shocking when you look back at how quickly Cam Smith can get rolling. And like, is there a little bit of like, magic beans to him? Yeah, but it's kind of what he does too, right? It's like it's his strength. So I'm not going to take it away from him that he started making 22, 25-foot putts when it mattered.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's exactly what he does. It's in his DNA. Brent Harris had a good week. He said he was 5th last week, and he's now cracked $4,000, Joe, after starting with 200 at the 2021 Masters. That was the Decky Masters. So Brent Harris, rocket. That's 20x's his initial investment.
Not too bad. It's probably started with 100. Hopefully you used the promo code POWER and got
That's
yourself
true.
that way to 200. So Congrats to you, Brent. Great job last week on cashing a fifth place. Hope you probably had some cam shares to get there. I would imagine it's one of the cams, right?
Yeah, or both. Who knows? Yeah. The 3M Open is going to be played starting tomorrow, Thursday morning in Minnesota, and it is not going to look like Scotland. TPC Twin Cities has kind of water lurking everywhere, Joe, and what you tend to get from this event, because of its spot on the schedule after a major championship, especially after the Open Championship, where guys are flying back. There's a lot of, jet lag and tiredness and all that stuff. And then also these holes and the water hazards create a lot of volatile scoring. Is that going to change the way you're investing your dollars tonight?
Um, I think for some people it could. I have a little bit of history with this event in sort of taking a shot on guys that are super aggressive and hit it really far, but bring in that volatile nature. They embrace the chances that they could make a triple on a hole. So I hit Cam Champ here. I hit Matthew Wolf here. Those are two of the three winners. Now Michael Thompson did it a completely different way, obviously with the putter and hitting a lot of fairways, not nearly as long off the tee. I believe he's like 120th in the field at the time. So totally different mold there. I think there's different strategies that can work here. If a player hits it really far and it may bring in some big scores, I think that it could be worth the risk this week and the payout, because there are those par fives that are attackable. You can make eagles there. You can make big numbers, but you can also make a lot of birdies, which I think is the way they've always intended this course to play since the start.
I'm glad you brought that up, because there's only been 3 editions prior to this one of the PGA Tour event here for the 3M Open. So this is just the 4th year, and the first 3 winners were all 100 to 1 or longer. So there is an opportunity, and the way that translates here to the jock market, Joe, is those $2 shares, those $3 a share players that might go out and finish, that not even win, but finish T17, are going to return you a significant profit.
Yeah, and those guys have a shot to win here. Like, let's be honest, you mentioned 300 to 1 plus winners. Embrace kind of the volatility, take some shots. If you see players, and I wanted to sort of, I don't want to like go back too much to the Open, but we talked about it last week. Victor Hovland, right? All-time low price. Like,
Right.
Things weren't looking good. He was not trending in the right direction, but you got the opportunity to buy shares at him at what was the lowest price he's ever been on Jock Market. And they have the ability to pop. It's golf. There's a randomness aspect to it. These guys are all great players, and on any given week, they can put everything together. So finding those opportunities where you can either find a player who's up and coming and rising, who you may get for a cheap price, or one of these sort of elite guys in this field that drift in price, maybe due to some form, but sometimes it's worth just buying low in a situation like that.
Let's play bullish or bearish. This is a segment that we do where Joe and I get to take a stance on 4 different golfers and decide whether we are bullish or bearish. Let's start near the top of the board here, Joe, with Hideki Matsuyama. He is the #1 pre-ranked golfer. He is sporting a fair value of $11.35. That's a lot. Asking him to finish 9th or better. Bullish or bearish on Hideki?
Probably not a real big surprise here, but I'm going to go bearish on that price point. That's huge. I would still be bearish, honestly, at anything north of $10 on Hideki. The putting stats have really not been good for him, and that's one thing that we kind of can link. At least Cam Champ actually did it with the putter here when he won, as well as Michael Thompson. You're going to have to hole a lot of putts, and in his, like, he hasn't, besides the US Open, it hasn't been like he has one finish inside the top 60 in the last 2 months. I know there was the injury lurking, which caused him to miss a few events, but 60th at the PGA, 68th at the Open, a missed cut at the Scottish, all sprinkled in there, where he's essentially losing strokes to the field on all of them. The ball striking number, like the approach numbers, have been a little bit problematic for me, which is normally his strength, especially given the price point. Rick, I'm going to go bearish. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to be bullish here, so I'll take the bear side. Here's his last 20 starts, which includes actually 2 victories, and he's still basically just a slight positive golfer in the jock market. If you look at his last 10, it's much worse than that. The game doesn't look particularly sharp. And then you throw in a massive, just absolute massive fair value. I wouldn't say anybody in this field is going to finish ninth or better, right? You know what I mean? I'd take like the over on all of that. So I think I have to be a bear on Hideki this evening. Next up, Davis Riley. Davis Riley is kind of lumped into that next set of golfers where like golfers 4 through 20 in this field, Joe, are like the same guy. Odds makers have almost given them all the same odds. Davis Riley here tonight, the third pre-ranked golfer. That's important. Fair value, 964. That's 12th or better on Davis Riley. Bullish or bearish?
It's tough. I don't think he quite gets to that price. I'll make a bullish stance on Riley, and here's why. When I looked at the leaderboard over on your website over the last 10 events, number 2 in average ROI. He's also the only guy in the top 15 of all those players that is above a $5 average IPO, which I think is important when noting some of these average ROIs, because you start to get down to guys in the $2 mark, and they could really see a jump, which kind of throws things out of whack. 508 average IPO. He's obviously going to clear that by quite a bit, but his average payout is 888, and those are in significantly stronger fields that he's going to face this week. The current form has been great. He has shown a trajectory that is nothing but positive, returning you a profit in 6 out of 10 of his last events. Over 100% ROI. I think I'm bullish on Davis Riley, but ultimately it's going to come down to the price point as compared to those other guys that you mentioned are all quite lumped together.
I'm with you. Bullish, you have to be. I don't think he gets the 964 tonight because there's so many guys that are available. The only concern, and it's not even really a concern, we haven't seen him since the Travelers. And I just wish guys rarely win the first event of, taking a break and then coming back. Usually takes them, 9, 18 holes to get kind of the rust knocked off, and then they play well. But he doesn't have to win. He does not have to win. If he does, it's a bonus. And if he doesn't, he can still earn you a lot of money. So it's hard to be anything but bullish on Davis Riley. Next up, Brendan Steele. We are using a $8.35 fair value on Brendan Steele, which is 16th or better. He has returned to profit, Joe, in 3 straight events. Bullish or bearish?
Bullish. Been awesome off the tee. Number 1 in terms of what I was looking at stat-wise in the field off the tee, which I think I talked a little bit about it last week. I love that as probably my favorite stat. Also really good on approach. 8th in approach. Top 5 in terms of strokes gained total over the last 24 rounds. He's really on a good stretch there. If you look at those last 7 events, 5 significant winners in there. And you're looking, if you just kind of encompass those last 7 at around doubling your money per every event, over 100% ROI within those. I'm going to go bullish on Brendan Steele and think that he keeps it going tonight on a course that I think should set up pretty well for his strengths, although we hadn't seen him here a whole lot.
Yeah, we're very much aligned here. Brendan Steele is like the captain of Team No Putt, and I love him for that. And there is an argument to be made that these are some of the easiest greens that you're going to be able to find on the PGA. Maybe not on the PGA Tour, but like of the top, like 5. And, you could argue that in a bunch of ways. You could argue that makes the better putters even better because they're so easy. You could argue that it makes the worst putters a little bit better. Like, I don't know. You could argue that in circles. I think it helps the guys who are poor putters, which Brendan Steele firmly falls into the category of. So combine that with everything else that you mentioned, and I'll take a bullish stance on Brendan Steele. I'll also take a bullish stance on our last guy here, who is Ches Reavie. We're using $7.61. It's basically asking him to finish top 20. Joe, I like, he's fresh off the win. Was playing well before that. I think this is a spot that is one of the better spots. Like, he's had a tangible improvement in his advanced metrics from this kind of mini slump that he went through. And now he's feeling it. There is still plenty to play for. I'm just running him back out there. I don't care that he won last week.
I don't mind that. I'll take, just for the sense of being on the opposite side on one, I'll take a bearish stance on Reeve. Here's why. Don't love the putting numbers from him. I have him 88th and 109 in terms of the two rankings that I use, one just recently and one with bent grass. The other thing is, he doesn't pick up much on the par fives. And when you go back to how Wolf did it, obviously, I think he eagled the last hole. You go back to what Champ was able to do on the par fives. Even Michael Thompson, believe it or not, was able to make his fair share of birdies on the par fives. I got Reeve 108th in the field in terms of par five scoring. I just don't think that, I worry that he's going to be able, it's hard to go out there and make a ton of birdies 2 weeks in a row. So that would be my main concern with him, although he's definitely got it rolling. The confidence is there. I'll just say bearish on Reeve for the sense of being on the opposite side of the fence on one of them.
That's fair. That way, at least one of us will be right on Chez Reeve. We'll see which one. We'll see which one it is. All right, Joe. I'm about to unveil the big board, but just in case you've forgotten, the code you're looking for is POWER. That'll get you up to $100 deposit bonus here in the Jock market. And this IPO is going to close in about 25 to 30 minutes or so. We'll get closer a couple minutes before 9 p.m. Eastern time. But let me now, for the first time, unveil the big board, the live pricing. Sungjae Im is the most expensive golfer in the Jock market. He's $7.55. His fair value tonight is $8.38. So he's within $1 of his fair value. His fair value would ask him to finish about 16th or better, and his pre-rank is 7th. If you don't know what the pre-rank is, it is important. That's how we break ties here in the Jock market. So if 5 guys are tied for second, the guy with the highest pre-rank gets the full share. I got to admit, Joe, this is a pretty positive sentiment on Sungjae immediately out of the gate.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think he's going to be right up there. I think it's close, but I probably prefer Tony Finau a little bit to Sungjae in this instance. But yeah, I think that he's definitely going to be in that top 3. It's going to be a mix of him, Hideki, and Finau. Right under them, was a little bit surprised at Cam Tringale up there in second. Cam did, like, what's up with the Cams, man, on the PGA Tour on a run, aren't they?
It's Cam season. That's right. You got to get your Cams in. Tringale's been a winner in 2 of his last 4 cash markets. He's the 18th pre-ranked golfer. Is currently $6.35 a share. Before we kind of dive further into that, Sungjae's kind of getting like disrespected on the pre-rank here, right? Yeah. I mean, basically every market has Hideki, Finau, Sungjae, and some combination of 1, 2, and 3. And Hideki 1, Tony Finau 2, Sungjae 7 here in the pre-rank.
Yeah, there's a strong, I know that there's a heavier than maybe some will put emphasis on currency in terms of like what has happened most recently. A couple of bad starts in a row for Sungjae, so maybe he slipped down those pre-rankings a little bit. But yeah, there's no situation where he should be below like 4 of those guys.
Tom Kim, a little bit of love for Tom Kim. He goes out and finishes 3rd at the Scottish Open. That was a 603% ROI. The U.S. Open, a 264% ROI. It's going to be real hard to do that with his already current price at $6.12. But he will now sprint to the finish line, Joe, because he has accepted the special temporary membership of the PGA Tour, which means he gets unlimited sponsors exemptions. Well, there's only 3 events to go for him. So he's got to go and probably play every single one and earn points.
Yes. Happy for Tom Kim. I love the move by the PGA Tour and sort of giving him this exemption as well, and in like promoting the kid. Like they put out the tweet where he does like a little video. I don't know if you saw it, a little 3-minute video, but he's extremely personable. He speaks great English. He's young. He's fun. He's like kind of self-deprecating a little bit, like poking fun at his own weight and how he eats in America. So I thought it was very fun. We need more Tom Kims, and it's great. It's certainly the state that golf is currently in to really push and promote these young superstars coming from other countries and coming over here to play on the greatest tour in the world. So good for him. Happy to see him. Excited to see how he plays this week, although that his IPO price is going to be double what anyone's probably ever paid for it.
Correct. And if you're looking for him, he's under Ju Hyung Kim. Gave himself the Tom nickname, but we've got him listed here as Ju Hyung Kim. Talks about Davis Riley. It might be Cam season, might also be Davis season. You got Davis Riley and you got Cam Davis. Cam Davis is going to be popular this week, Joe. So he finishes T8 at the John Deere. He had another good finish at the Barracuda. That's not going to show up in the Jock market data because that was not the market that we did. We obviously did the Open Championship. So you have to kind of keep in mind some of these guys played an event last week that was not Jock market sanctioned.
Yep. Obviously, at the Barracuda, you mentioned Reeve earlier. So Cam Davis was another guy who played really well. My favorite pick of the week in terms of outrights to win is Cam Davis. That good performance at the John Deere. I think that his style of play is really a good course fit for this place.
You asked for long hitters who can get a little wild and get a little volatile. You found one right here.
That's it, man. And a good performance at the John Deere, which I think is a good comp of a Midwest TPC course. Another one, which we're going to get next week, which is a TPC course in the Midwest there in Detroit. He won that event last year. So seems to be sort of his fit this time of the year in this region. And he's the type of player that I think could have success at this type of golf course.
Seeing a little bit of maturing in this market already. So here comes Tony Finau. Here comes Hideki Matsuyama. Here comes Maverick McNeely. We already have 4 golfers over $7 a share. Let's talk Finau because he is now the most expensive golfer in this Jock market. Lost you a little bit at the Open Championship. Was a winner at the Travelers, loser at the U.S. Open, but 3 wins before that. He's going to go for probably the most, he's already the most expensive that he's been since the RBC Canadian. And we're going to get a big number on Tony tonight compared to the rest of his IPOs.
It's always scary, isn't it? When you're paying maybe an all-time high on Tony. That said, I do think that he's probably the best player in the field right now. I think Hideki's a better player, but Finau, I think, is coming in playing the best of those top 3. The good performance at the Canadian Open that you mentioned, number 1 in strokes gain on terms of par 5s. He's really kind of excelled on easier conditions in terms of golf courses, and his putting numbers are up. They're not great, but he's not in the bottom half of the field anymore in terms of strokes gained putting. So he's improving there. I think he can play well this week. I think this course is another great fit for a player like Tony Finau's style of game. I like him, so I think that he should probably be the highest price player.
And then the other one who has just made a move since the last time I refreshed was Maverick McNeely, 8th place finish at the John Deere, T16 at the Scottish Open, and then again he had I think it was 8th at the Barracuda. That's not going to show up here, but it's 3 consecutive top 16 finishes. I've bet this guy more often than I care to admit this year, and I had to just bet him again this week, and I'm not particularly stoked about it. I'd actually probably prefer to get access to him here in the Jock market.
You might be right. I don't bet him. For me, that guy is Svensson, who I've been betting all year. But now I took him at a horrible number this week of what I think is a bad. But I feel like I have to, right? Because you've been on him all year, and he's in this event, and he's one of the quote unquote favorites. You're I can't get off now. He's consistent though. McNeely has that going for him. I don't really know that much more about the course fit in terms of his style of game. Where do you kind of rest there?
Yeah, I think what we're learning about him is, I want to say this very carefully because I think he is 1/10 of what Max Homa is doing, where Max Homa just got better and better and better and better for the first 4 or 5 years of his career. Right. And we're starting to see that of Maverick McNeely. He's obviously still well behind what Max Homa is, but it's those tangible improvements across a bunch of different types of golf courses, across a bunch of different types of putting surfaces and things like that. So I'm just kind of bullish on him. If he wins at 28-1, he probably breaks me even on Mav McNeely for life, and I'll just never bet him again. I'll be even and just can move on and go from there. Let me flip this around and look at the top 10 players. So again, this is by pre-rank. We talked about a lot of these guys, but Sahith is here at $5.87. Adam Hadwin is still $3.33. Brendan Todd is $2.58. And Troy Merritt is the other guy that we haven't talked about, Joe, at $4.53. Is one of those kind of more valuable to you than some of the others?
I think Sahith for me. I have a little bit of concern. I'd be interested in your opinion on like fatigue, not in the, like jet lag
Yeah.
fatigue, but just the amount of events he's played here consecutively. And can he, the experience in, I saw his post round interview. I'm not sure who was giving it last week, but you could tell how emotional it was for him to just get in late to that event, fly over later than the rest of the guys, get in the field and then play well, and how much like of a historian he is, and how much he like there's guys we're learning now with like the whole live thing who like really love the game of golf, right? And have a like a deep rooted appreciation for it. And he's definitely seems like one of those guys to me. So I know that event was very meaningful for him and he played well. So I worry a little bit about that. I like Troy Merritt this week. I like Sahith a lot better, but Merritt is just really steady on these courses that have easy scoring conditions and are quote unquote birdie fest. A good performance at the Scottish as well. He was another guy who played well in, I'm not sure if it was this one or if it was Rocket Mortgage, but one of these Midwest events late July last year. I believe he moved into a playoff. Yeah, that was last year. He lost to Cam Davis in the playoff. Yeah.
I hate that we can't like quantify these guys who were overseas and like, what do we do? Like, I hate that. For Sahith specifically, he's played a lot of golf, which I think is like, remember when he was on that run from, it was like Phoenix was in the middle. He's played like 7 weeks in a row and he played well. These guys are young. I don't particularly care about that. So I'm just going to act like if he's playing, he's ready to go. Let's see what happens. But
yep.
I don't have any data or anything of note to actually back that up.
What about, let me ask you about a guy, and I'm gonna if our guy Mike Van Veen is I think I saw him in the chat earlier. So he got me to this on Monday, and I'm gonna take credit for this, guys. I personally got this guy into his first Jock Market contest this week. I emailed the guys on Monday. I texted them and I said, get this guy in the pool. Chris Goddard, for some reason, hasn't been in any Jock Market contest before. And I was like, what's going on, fellas? We need Goddard up. We need him in the Jock Market. So he's competing in his first ever market this week. He's currently at $5 per share IPO price. You have a take on old Goddard up for me here, Rick Run Good?
So I guess I do. This is probably the only format I'd be kind of interested in playing Goddard up. I think there are going to be other fantasy formats that turn into a little bit more of game theory and ownership. I probably don't have much interest, but this is a situation where we just get to look at whatever his price is going to be and say, can he outperform that expectation? And, I know guys are firing up the outright market on Goddard up at like 50 to 1. And if they hit that, I will not be a part of it, unfortunately. But again, the ask is much different here. So, Haskins winner, obviously plenty of skill, plenty of talent. This is the only market I think I want access to. And I didn't realize, Joe, good on you. I didn't realize that this was his only market or his first.
Well, I noticed it because he wasn't in the contest at the John Deere a few weeks ago. And I will credit Mike if he's still in here, because he sent me a DM on Monday and was like, you got to get the guys on the horn and get Goddard up in. He's still, because Mike's all over this stuff early. But yeah, pumped to see him in this week, see what he's got. I know that he's a long hitter who will certainly play this thing quite aggressively off the tee, which should be fun to see.
Yeah, I wonder why he wasn't in there. I guess because he got added to because he turned pro, and then I know that messes with like the data feeds and all that fun stuff. Yeah, so that's probably why he wasn't originally in there. Let's find some bottom feeders, and before we do that, I'll refresh the big board so we have the actual pricing, because we are by my clock 8:44, so we've got about 15 minutes or so until this IPO closes, and I want to make sure we have the most up-to-date data here, and we can find a little bit of value here, Joe. Let's go sub like $4. So that would be right here. I'm pretty much on record. I'm interested in Gligic. He's got 4 really good starts in a row, kind of putting it all together. Lashley's here. We've seen him contend in some of these before. Austin Cook has played well as of late. Anybody here in this sub $4 range that you think could be a good value right now?
Yeah, I like my boy Ryan Armour. I always like him, but there's like two different. Like, if you're not going to go super long off the tee, it's good to be super accurate, right? It's like good to
Right.
be either one or the other. Like, you get caught in the middle and you're not very long, and you miss a couple of fairways and you're in the water. That's no good. Armour is kind of built in that Reevy mold. Interested a little bit in like Cole Hammer is 255. And I'm sure some people were hoping to get shares of him, and I may have just blown it up. But he's really cheap and sort of, I don't know if I'm not sure if this is totally his date. No, he's had a couple of events. Okay. So he hasn't really made a cut yet, but I know that he has a lot of hype around him. Brandon Matthews, like, you want to go long hitters? He's down in the $1 range, and he'll be the longest guy off the tee this week, besides maybe Cam Champ. But I think Matthews might even have him on that barometer. Matt Wallace, a little bit interesting to me, is only $3 a share right now. He's up and down, he fluctuates, but I think that he has a good bit of upside to him there. There's definitely some names here right now if you want to go bottom feeding this week, with, I think, a lot of potential, as we've seen at this event, for guys to really make leaps up the leaderboard quickly.
Yeah, if you like that kind of long hitter, maybe he can pick apart the fives. Kevin Tway, the play has not been good, but he kind of fits that category. I think somebody like I think Dylan Wu is just objectively better than a lot of these guys he's priced around. He's not playing well right now, but I think just objectively he's a better golfer than a lot of the guys he's being priced with. Joshua Creel has been playing well enough, and I thought there was one more that I saw down here, but maybe my memory is playing tricks on me. I think it was Aaron Baddeley, who doesn't have a huge sample size, and he's kind of been bouncing all over places where we don't have a ton of data on him. But when he's played, like, the approach numbers have gotten better. He's not going to win, but can he finish T23? Like, absolutely he can. Or can he get out to an early start and then you sell him? Like, absolutely he can. That's kind of the mold of what Baddeley tends to do. Get out early and then fade.
Totally. In a field like this, like, you get these guys in the $2-3 range. The reality is you're not going to see a lot of consistency. You're not going to see a lot of top 30 finishes consecutively, or they wouldn't be at this price point in this type of field. What you want is to search for a guy with potential upside. Like, another guy, when you mentioned it, just kind of sticks out as like a better player talent wise than people around him. Garrick Higo, 325, got a win last year on the PGA Tour, finished top 20 at the Memorial a few weeks ago. Like, he has that, like, really good player upside, and he's sitting there around like Adam Shank and Austin Cook and Bill Haas, like, all at the same price. Like, he goes objectively, I think, a better player and has a bigger upside than any of them.
Yeah. So here's the updated market. And you can see, Joe, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 golfers over $6 right now. And they're all just kind of lining up. It's clear that we're probably going to get some combination of Tony Finau, Hideki Matsuyama, and Sung Jae Im as the 1, 2, and 3 most expensive golfers in this cash market. And then there is going to be a dozen golfers. We know who they're going to be. It's going to be Tom Kim and Davis Riley and Sahith and Svensson in some order. I don't know what that order is going to be, but that is what is going to happen.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. Just the amount of volume of players that are seemingly equal in terms of what the sentiment is on them, what we think right now. So it'll be interesting to see where the separation lies between, like, Adam Long and Cameron Davis. Like, are we talking $2? Are we talking 50 cents? Because a lot of that can make a big difference. But yeah, besides those top three, it seems like they're all going to sort of line up in order right there in that $7 to low $6 range.
And just as I'm looking at the outright market, there are 8 golfers between 16 and 22 to 1.
Yeah. It's a weird week.
3 guys at 16 to 1, 3 at 18 to 1, 2 at 22 to 1. So, I mean, it's lining up. The one name that I do see it here. Adam Long, 643. It's going to be one of the most expensive IPOs for Adam Long in quite some time. I think it's well-deserved, Joe. You know, the 3 straight top 25s, he has shown upside at more difficult events, Mexico, RBC Heritage. You talk about, if you're not long, be accurate. Adam Long is not long, plays out of the fairway quite frequently, has a runner-up finish here, and then I think a 26th last year. I think that's a well-deserved price tag.
Yeah, he's really got it going. He's a guy that, if it wasn't for necessarily his price and some other guys that I liked around him, I had my eyes on as potential targets to pick this week. But yeah, he's one. What do we do with what are your thoughts on Cam Champ? Like, defending champ here obviously has that going for him, and he's so up, and like the ups are so high. He's like that roller coaster that's like, Cedar Point, like highest in the world, but then like the lows are so low for him. It's obviously going really the wrong direction now, and it has been for a while. But then he had that random, Masters and then Mexico. So he like finds these little spurts where he's really good and can put it together. Right now is not one of those times. You think he can turn it around at a place he should have some confidence?
No. I just, you're right, and random is a really good word for it, but he usually like kind of foreshadows it, like kind of gives
Good
you
point.
one thing. He'll give you like, okay, he always drives it well, but now he putted okay for a week, and then he can follow that up the next week. He's not even driving it all that well right now. I'm just like, yeah, maybe he finds magic at a place that he's found magic before, but he foreshadows basically every single time he starts to play well. And I do not personally believe that there is evidence of that this time around.
I agree there. Even last year, he had a really solid performance at the John Deere right before he came in and won here, where he picked up like 8.5 on approach, which
Right.
everyone's like, whoa, like where did that come from? Next start out, he wins. So you're right about foreshadowing.
Which is why a lot of us had like those 125 to 1
Yeah.
tickets, because it was like, okay, you're going to give me a guy who, can be a
Found
bomber.
something. He found something.
Exactly. And he wins like once a year, so it's coming eventually, for sure. Okay, so this market is starting to shape up, as we mentioned. So again, still the big three at the top. It's 8:51 by my clock, so that's about 6 minutes to go. So what's going to happen here is when we get to 8:57, we're going to enter a 90-second window, which is IPO can close at any point. So make sure you get your guys favorited. If you haven't deposited yet, the code you're looking for is POWER. There's a link in the description. That's up to $100 instant deposit match. That next tier, Joe, quickly before I got to let you go here, of guys after like the log jam is where you'll find Austin Smotherman and Jason Day and Lucas Glover and not our defending champion, but 2020 Michael Thompson. Just like that next set of guys. Is there anybody in there, Hayden Buckley, Bo Hostler, that could be interesting?
Like both of those guys, Buckley and Hostler, I've got sort of favorited. Another one is Wyndham Clark. I remember the Wolf year. It was like him, Bryson, Morikawa, and randomly it was like Wyndham Clark is like gonna like show up and he was close. Like he took it apart much the way that Wolf and Bryson and Cam Champ took this place apart, and a couple good performances as of late for him. Ricky's right there. I don't know. Like he was close. I know we talked about him, and like he kind of had it going at the Scottish for 3 rounds and then let it slip on Sunday. So I got some buddies down here who you get these people who tell you things you never know what to take them for, but they've been seeing him over at the Grove, and apparently like word from the people there is he's like in the pockets of JT. He's winning all these matches, and he's taking Daniel Berger's money left and right, and like he's playing well again is what they're telling me. I don't know. Hasn't shown it yet. Hasn't been able to put it 4 straight days together.
There is still those, I've heard those stories for 2 straight years of Ricky. You know what I mean? It's just like whatever. All right, I got to get you out of here, Joe. Go do your thing. Right, Joe's going to make his bids. He's going to put his portfolio together. He is going to then share that portfolio with us here in a couple of minutes. So by my clock, 8:53 p.m. Eastern time. We've got 4, 5, 6 minutes or so until this thing closes. It's a random close, which kind of protects us all from, nefarious people writing bots and doing smart things to get those final bids in at the last second. But I'll take you the rest of the way here. So a couple minutes to go. I'm refreshing the big board. Here we go. The most expensive golfer in this jock market tonight, No surprise, still remains Tony Finau, $9 a share. So if you're buying Tony at $9 a share, you're essentially asking him to finish like 13th or better. His fair value is a little bit more expensive than that. It's about 10-20. That's kind of what we expect him to go for in the next couple of minutes, which is 11th or better. Hideki Matsuyama right behind, but I don't see Sungjae Im because Davis Riley and Maverick McNeely have both passed Sungjae. So we'll see if that early run from Sungjae kind of fades out or if it does indeed hold on. Davis Riley, the third pre-ranked golfer, is now the third most expensive golfer in the Jock market. Then we get Sahith at 740, Brendan Steele at 735, Cam Davis at 733, Cameron Tringale at 701, and Adam Hadwin at $7. It's going to be a really big logjam of names right behind the big three. That like $7 to $8 range feels like it's going to be absolutely packed with golfers and probably well deserved. Adam Long and JT Poston are kind of the values as of right now of that group of golfers. Adam Long, 688, JT Poston, 675 with Tom Kim at 666 and Adam Svensson at 654. If you want to get yourself a top 10 pre-ranked golfer, the cheapest one that you can get right now is Brendan Todd. He's $5.92 a share. He's sixth in the pre-ranks. Then you could get Troy Merritt at 602. And those are the only two golfers in the top 10 that you could get for less than $6.02. Everybody else, $7, $8, and $9 a share. 855 by my clock. Let me refresh this big board and see where we stand here. 8:56 just changed. So 8:56 p.m. Eastern time. We are just a minute or three away from this thing closing. And Tony Finau has gotten through $9. Hideki Matsuyama at 850 and Sungjae Im regains his spot at the top of the board, as the third most expensive golfer. Matthew Neesmith making a little bit of a move up the board with Martin Laird, 635 and 621 respectively. Last week's winner at the Barracuda, Ches Reavie, $5.90. We've talked about him. When we last mentioned Chris Gotterup, he was $5 a share, now $5.31. That's not a typo. There is no history on Chris Gotterup. We are witnessing the very first ever Jock market, cash market for Chris Gotterup. Congratulations. Austin Smotherman, you won't see it here either, but an 8th place finish at last week's Barracuda Championship. Someone who has been kind of a darling in fantasy formats, especially here in the Jock market. Cam Champ, our defending champion, is $4.28. Just a few pennies more than Bryce Garnett. That's how far Cam Champ has fallen. Going further down the board, what can I find? You like bombers? Joseph Bramlett's $3.33. You like raw talent? Garrett Higo, $3.33. What else can we find? Not much. Dylan Wu, who I firmly believe is better than these guys that are around him, $2.82. Let me give this board a refresh here. 8:57. This thing can close at any moment. We'll see when it closes, probably in the next 1 to 2 minutes or so. But there's nothing stopping it from closing right now. Tony Finau remains at 901. We have not seen that change since the last refresh. Mav McNeely now over $8 a share. So this is starting to really figure itself out. It's probably unlikely that we get anybody at $11, and it's probably more likely that we just get a bunch of guys stocked in there from $6.50 to $9. Like that's what I imagine is going to happen here tonight. JT Poston obviously won the John Deere Classic, finished runner-up at the Travelers Championship before missing the cut at the Open Championship, $7.12 a share. Tom Hoagie getting a lot of love tonight for someone who has missed 6 consecutive cuts. Obviously, a little bit of love for Tom Hoagie, $5.33. He's more expensive than Dylan Fratelli and Jason Day and Lucas Glover, along with Matthias Schwab, who round out the flat $5 per share group. Let me try to get one more refresh in here. It's 8:58. We could close here at any moment. We're still open as of right now. IPO is still roaring. And now we've got a battle at the top. It's by pennies, but Hideki Matsuyama is now taking over the top spot as the most expensive golfer in the cash market. 906. Tony Finau, 905. 1 penny separating those two, with Sungjae Im coming into distant third with Davis Riley at 825. Riley's holding his own in this market. It might be because of the sentiment. It might be because of the third pre-rank. It could be a lot of things, but Davis Riley holding his own in this market. McNeely, Tagala, Cam David, I mean, they're lining up behind. This is exactly what we would expect. Let's find some value on this board and see what we can find. Sung Yul No, 266. That name came up a lot earlier. 276, Cole Hammer. Dylan Wu, 282. Matt Wallace, 301. So those haven't moved much. Let me try to refresh this. It looks like we're slowing down here. I don't know if we're definitely still open. 8:59 p.m. Eastern time.
Closed.
Oh, got it down. Closed down. IPO is closed. Oh, okay. I got to get my big board refresh here. So here's what we're going to do. IPO is closed. We're going to let the dust settle. I'm going to refresh the big board. We'll get everything all figured out so we get the final pricing. Joe is going to share his portfolio for tonight. And then you, of course, can share your portfolio in the chat. If you haven't deposited yet, the code you're looking for, it's POWER, 100% deposit match up to $100. That'll be fun. And Joe, do you have your portfolio available?
Yes. Give me one. Okay, yeah. I do.
Let's do it.
Ready to rock?
Yes. I
have at $7.44 Adam Hadwin, and right below him Brendan Steele.
Mm-hmm.
We're the $2 and the $7 range. So
I think if you put those two guys together, that'd be one hell of a player.
Yeah.
You let Hadwin putt for that? Yeah.
685 Adam Svensson had to go there. 536 Giddy Up, got her up.
Wow. Okay.
He's in the portfolio. I asked for him to be added. I needed some shares.
I was going to say, you kind of had to put your money where your mouth is at that point.
Then in the $4 range, Stuart Sink, Bo Hostler. And then a couple of guys in the penny stock range. So Kevin Tway, who you spoke about briefly, Garrick Hago, who I mentioned, and Brandon Hagee at $2.50. That makes up my 9 guys tonight.
Hadwin, Steele, Svensson, Goddard, Sink, Hostler, Tway, Higo, Hagee. That's Joe's portfolio. Let us know your portfolio. How about this one? Sheer Dog got literally every Adam. Hadwin, Long, Svensson, and Shank. There's only 4 in the field. And then Aaron Badamley, that's Aaron Baddeley, basically got every version of Adam and then the closest guy that he could get.
What a strategy.
Sheer Dog. Dylan got Cam Davis, Kraber Hickok, John Hutt, Justin Lauer, Steven Yeager, Garrick Higo, Kevin Chappell. That's interesting. This one's kind of interesting too. Snoopaloop got Reevy, Ryder, Gucheski, Wu, and Sloan. I like that.
He went a little, kind of that mid-range there.
Let me pull up the big board and we'll talk through this pricing. Here it is. So Hideki edged Tony Finau at the top. At the end, $9.22 a share, essentially asking him to finish like 11th or so, 12th, 11th or better. Joe, what do you think of that price on Hideki?
Seems about right. I thought Finau would go for a little more. I'm surprised, though, that Davis Riley edged out Sung Jae Im. What is that, by a penny?
By a penny.
He got him.
That could be, I love Davis Riley this week. It could be concerns about Sung Jae, but like the difference between a 3rd and a 7th pre-rank it's worth more than a penny. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sahith 813 and Mad McNeely 801. That's the big 6, the guys above $8. That is the most expensive Maverick McNeely has ever been by a cent. Previously, the AT&T Pebble Beach, no surprise there, that he was $8 a share. So that's an all-time high for McNeely. It is an all-time high. No, it is not actually an all-time high for Sahith. That's surprising. So good to see that. I assume it's an all-time high for Davis Riley. It's got to be. Yes,
it has to be.
Yeah, it is. Okay. So a couple of ATHs there. And then it's that group, Joe. Yeah. Davis, Hadwin, Steele, Poston, Tringale, Tom Kim, Adam Long, Adam Svensson. All those guys between $7.75 and $6.85. So all within $1 of each other. That's what we were talking about all night long.
Yeah, it looks about right to me. I had Svensson a little higher. I did have some shares of Cam Davis in at the 750 was my target on him. When that moved on, that's when I kind of shifted to Hadwin late.
I'm cool with, I'll take Reevy shares at 621.
It's a good price.
Now. That's asking him to finish 26th or better. 26th. The guy just won. Not a particularly difficult field here. That's a good price.
Yeah, Nick Hardy went well under his fair value as well. And this kid's been playing good, man.
Oh, he's been great.
He's been returning you a profit in. Oh, so I guess he lost you a little bit at the John Deere, but that's because he was 756, which was his highest IPO ever. But the three previous markets, he returned you a solid margin.
What else do we have here? I don't know if we kind of just passed him over, or we spent just a minute. Like Hayden Buckley at $4.45. His advanced metrics are very, very good. They're not necessarily turning into results, but he does have 3 straight profitable markets. And I think, don't quote me on this, he might have also played Barracuda last week. I'm not positive about that, but at least 3 consecutive wins, and he went for 445 tonight.
Yeah, monumental swing for him that he mentioned at the U.S. Open, kind of switching to the decade system there, which has proven to be a very wise move. Sometimes it's like not so much the system, it's just a change in strategy. And especially for young players like that, when you can take the decision making out of their hands, which is basically what that system does, which is like it's basically a manual, and you play the system, right? And you don't have to make choices anymore for them. It's just like it's going to tell you exactly what to do. You grab a club and you play it. It really kind of can tend to free young players up like that. So it was a good move for him.
It's like when a struggling baseball team fires their manager and then wins 9 in a row. It's like, we just needed a new voice. We just needed something different. Like something different just had to happen here. The players haven't changed. Nothing has changed, but we just needed something different. That's kind of what happens there. Okay. So what we're in now is live trading. So right now you can buy more shares of golfers. You can sell them. You can short them. Joe, have you been on the shorting train? Because I feel like there's been a couple of good shorting opportunities the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, did a little bit of that last week unsuccessfully, though. I haven't found, so you really have to kind of be on top of it. What you're really looking for, I think, when you're trying to short someone, that I found is the gap between what the ask price is and what the bid price is. If that margin is a little bit too wide, there isn't a whole lot of value in it. As it gets closer, as the sort of bid price or the ask gets closer to what their projection is, it makes it more and more of a lucrative potential.
I love that. Okay. Well, keep me in the loop of how that's going for you, because I think that's fascinating. And we are under the impression we are going to get IPO shorting at some point here in the near future, which is going to be really, really cool. And we'll change these markets again. We've got like the old markets, like the new modern markets. And then when they throw in shorting in IPO, it's going to be like V3 of these shows, I think.
Absolutely. It'll be fun because it will really change things, because in the IPO, especially, which is, I would assume, where the majority of the action takes place every week, at least for me, it's that case. Everything's going in one direction. It's all going up, right? If you can potentially bring something back down and then you have competing sides on a single player, it'll be a game changer. Hopefully that is coming soon as we sort of wrap up the season and into the FedEx Cup playoffs over these next couple weeks.
Okay, so we've got 3M this week, Rocket Mortgage, Wyndham, the playoffs, and then, actually, believe it or not, the new schedule is not out yet, but I assume there will be like a week off, and then we'll go to
Fortinet or something like that.
Fortinet, something.
Yeah, I think we got St. Jude in there too. Is that part of the playoffs this year?
That's now the first playoff event.
So it's not a WGC.
Not a WGC anymore.
Okay, cool.
There's only one WGC. It's the match play.
And is the new season, all the changes that they overhauled, is that like starting now, or is that starting next year?
So like the purses and stuff will be, and like the tour cards, but the revamped fall is not happening until next fall.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Where it'll be like
a good share of events. That's good.
Yeah, and I think even when they do revamp it, there's still gonna be, I don't know, 6 or 8 events, but they're gonna be like 50-person best player in the world type of they're going to be like WGCs, which they've just gotten rid of, but that's a different
We got
that's a
President's Cup,
conversation,
which will be fun, but we don't have Jock Market for President's Cup, but it will be a fun event. Do you think we'll ever see the day when we can have a PGA Tour versus Live Tour like event?
So like when they used to play the Super Bowl, which was like what, the NFL versus like the AFL or whatever. That was like the first couple Super Bowls.
I think I just think that there has to be some agreement down the line where there's like, they've got to like bury the hatchet and like sit together or not be as like figure out how to work together. And that would be electric.
Would that be the most like tuned in? If they had a tournament where they took the 48 live guys and the top 48 in the FedEx Cup and played a 96 player tournament.
Be fun.
Oh my God. I'm not ready for that.
Even if it's just like 10 on 10, that'd be fun.
I need to wrap my brain around that. That would be amazing.
Who knows? There's so many different things and variables right now in the sport of golf we've never seen before, but I'm as excited forever to see what's in store for the future. Hopefully we can retain as many guys. We talked before the show. There's a couple of big names being floated around there. I want them to stay on the PGA Tour so we get them in these Jock Market contests and we get to watch them each and every week.
Joe is available on Twitter at TorPicks. You can find me at RickRunGood. We'll be back same time, same place next week for the Rocket Mortgage. That's 8:15 p.m. Eastern time. RickRunGood YouTube channel. Best of luck this week, and we'll talk to you soon.
See ya.